Good to know. I'm not going to press the mute button now. Gotta watch out for that one. Hi, my name is John Thorlin, and I'm running for the Republican nomination for state representative of the 18th Essex District. I know some of you might be a little tired now, so I'm going to try to talk as energetically as possible. We're going to see if we can, get some rock and roll going up in here. But since you've already heard plenty of stump speeches tonight, I'm not going to give another normal political speech. If there's one thing I don't like, it's slogans. If you want vague, meaningless slogans, I suggest you consult the Democratic Party's website. They have a very nice website. Check it out. We can do better, and we don't deserve to win if we don't do better than that. Since I only have 5 minutes, I want to tell you about the dueling ideas that I think will decide the future prosperity of our state and our country. The vision I support was first outlined over 200 years ago by a young red-headed Virginian who had this to say about the purpose of government. The general purpose of government is to secure for its citizens the rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That young man, Thomas Jefferson, would later also say, and I love this quote, "I predict future happiness for Americans if they can prevent the government from wasting the labors of the people under the pretense of taking care of them." Notice how Jefferson and the founders said that we're free to pursue happiness. They didn't say that citizens have a right to expect their government to provide them with happiness. Our state is suffering economically and is stuck on an unsustainable fiscal path for the same reason that our country as a whole is struggling under the presidency of Barack Hussein Obama. We are moving away from Jefferson's brilliant vision and toward the competing fundamental vision for the role of government, which is the entitlement mentality. The entitlement mentality arises when people believe they have a right to demand material wealth from their government. Since government doesn't actually generate wealth, as we're all very well aware of, ultimately, the entitlement mentality is the idea that some citizens have the right to demand that their neighbors provide them with whatever they claim to need. The entitlement mentality has many manifestations. Kings and hereditary aristocrats used to think that they were entitled to use the government to steal wealth from productive citizens. Today, you can see that same sense of entitlement in the eyes of bankers and auto executives who fly to Capitol Hill and demand bailouts and bonuses regardless of whether anyone wants to buy their products. You can see that entitlement mentality alive and well in Massachusetts, I'm sorry to say. Our state spends more on socialized health care than on public safety, infrastructure, and education combined. We can talk about cutting waste, and that's fine, and I'm very happy a lot of people talked about that tonight. But if you want to get serious about spending cuts, serious about tax cuts, and return to a principled vision of liberty, the one that's responsible for building all the wealth we see around us, and the ones that we memorialize soldiers to, we have to take care of health care as an entitlement. The antidote to the current woes of Massachusetts is simple and can be found wherever people work hard in pursuit of their own happiness. In that vein, I want to tell you about the most inspirational person I've ever met. I promised not to use her real name, so let's just call her Mary. Mary works in a grocery store in Andover, where I've lived for 23 years. She works the register. She comes into work happy every day. She loves talking to the customers, and she enjoys nothing more in the world than to spend her hard-earned paycheck on the things she loves. Foremost among them, movies. She loves going to the movies. She happens to be mentally handicapped, and some people would say that she deserves our pity for that reason. But she has never asked for our pity because that's not what she wants or needs. What she really wants and needs is the right to pursue her own happiness, and the right not to have the government pick away at her earnings to prop up an entitlement state. Whenever I see Mary, I know that America doesn't have to endure the slow march to obscure poverty, and that the idea that drove the founders to create America is never really going to die, even if our politicians forget it from time to time. When I was working 3 jobs to pay my way through Harvard, I never thought I was entitled to demand money from the students who didn't have to work. Excellent. I knew that I was working hard in pursuit of my own happiness, just like Mary at the grocery store. The day we abandon the entitlement mentality and let people pursue their own happiness once again will mark the turning point for Massachusetts and America. On that day, we'll recognize that every dollar the government doesn't take for the harebrained schemes of politicians is another dollar going to the person who created that wealth. That money is going to go back to the hardworking families paying for their homes, retirees enjoying the fruits of honest years of labor, diligent students working to pay for their education, and really, most of all, and this is the real reason why I'm up here and why I'm running, it'll go to people like Mary, heroes, the people who might not remember Thomas Jefferson's words, but they know in their heart that the sacred right to pursue happiness is exactly what the government should be doing and nothing more. I can't make that happen on my own, but I'm going to keep fighting for it however I can. Because you good folks are here tonight, I'm more optimistic than ever that I'm not going to be fighting for it alone. And if you have any questions about how I intend to meet those goals as a state representative, I encourage you to ask me right now or go to my website, www.johnthorlin.com. My contact information's there. I don't have all that many dates, so certainly give me a call. I'll be available to answer your questions.
Questions for John?
Yes, I'm a submarine veteran. I was rammed and sunk, thrown in the ocean, circled by sharks for over 6 hours.
Silent
But
service.
that's not my fear. My fear is now I'm 69 years old. My wife is 67. And I'm thinking this Obamacare is what's taking away the possibility of any future that anyone in this room has. What can you do to try and change Obamacare?
You know what? First of all, the silent service, God bless you. That was a heroic service, and I know how hard that can be. I'm looking to be elected to state government, but believe me when I tell you, if there was anything that I could do to defeat Obamacare, any way at all, I'm for it. And if you know a way, you tell me and I will get on that, like stink on a monkey.
Other questions?
Yeah, recently, I can talk to you a lot.
We need a...
Whoa, it's not official without the microphone, sir.
Okay, recently, Barbara Italian tried to destroy the petition initiative process. It was done in a sneaky way. Don't have all the facts on this, but I took that, I tried to gather petitions years ago to lower the taxes. Now I find that this is happening, and I took it as shut up and do as I say. Am I wrong?
Absolutely not. You are not wrong on that one. And that's a very key part of the democratic mentality. Sit down, shut up. The government knows what's right for you. Who are you to say what's right for yourself? And you know what? God bless you for that. Getting these petitions out there, that is important work, and you are making a difference. And I don't care if Barbara Italian thinks that you should sit down and shut up, because I like the fact that you're standing up and asking me a question right now.
Thank you.
Hi, I have a question. What can you do to promote more charter schools and to break up the monopoly of the public schools and the unions?
Oh, now that is a great question too, because I will say, if there's one thing, I used to teach 7th and 8th graders in Lawrence, math and English, and I saw for myself the curricula that they try to shove down their throats. And I'll tell you, I love history, and don't worry, I'm going to answer your question. This is a little side note, but I love history. It's one of my favorite subjects. And I found that when I got to just talk to these Lawrence students and tell them, these really interesting stories from history, they would respond. Kids who had been stuck in a failing school system their entire lives would light up when I told them stories about ancient Greece, because you can make these things interesting if you're allowed to use some creativity. So I think charter schools are in the long run, I think that's going to be one of the most important things that happens to this country. If we can liberate children's minds, let teachers teach them the right things, get them engaged, for crying out loud. There's a lot of interesting things in the world. What can I do about it? Anything I've been possibly able to. I'm going to try to get that in the budget. Believe me, you will have no better friend for charter schools, for school choice, for just letting people learn. It's a basic human instinct. We need to let people learn to the best of their abilities, and they're never going to do that if they get stuck in shoddy public schools like the ones in Lawrence. Excellent. Thank you very much. Thank you, Scott. Appreciate it.